What's up, guys? Welcome back to Bradley's Garage. Today we got our E46. We're going to show you the quickest, easiest way to replace this valve cover gasket. So we're going to get it done in under 10 minutes. All right, step one, going to twist these three little keepers here. This is our cabin filter. It lifts straight up, pulls out, and then you can grab your cabin filter. Looks pretty new. Okay, next up, just going to go ahead and unclip the little wire loom here. It's got some tabs, just be gentle with it. I just use my fingertips because they do get brittle with age. So we can pull that off and you can just grab this cable out and your positive lead out of the way. Next up, you have your T30. There's going to be 4 bolts holding this little cowl in. All right, so now all we have to do is just lift this up and pull out, kind of up and out. Next up, just get a little small plain tip. Be gentle. These like to break as well. These are just the caps that hold on the decorative fancy cover. And I only took the 3 covers off because we leave this one with no bolt. That way this cover can be removed later on if you ever need to access anything, change a coil pack or whatever, and you don't need to remove that cowl. All right, get your 10 millimeter. This simply slides over out of your way. Then you got 2 10 millimeter nuts. Okay, and you do need to remove the cap before you can pull this off. And just come straight off. Just be cautious of these little rubber, little grommets. They like to fall off and get stuck down there. So make sure and put your cap back on. You don't want to drop anything down there while you're working on it. All right, next up we have our 8 millimeter. We're just going to take off this little wire lead. You may have a second one here depending on the exact motor configuration of your car, but the valve cover is going to be the same. Now keep in mind this is a late model valve cover, so like mid-year 2002 this changed over to these type of coil packs. We'll show you what the other ones look like just for reference. Just want to show you guys for reference, these actually will be held down by 2 10 millimeter bolts each coil pack, versus on the later model car they'll just pull straight off with your finger. Okay, so after you get your 1 wire or 2 wires off depending on the loom, you're just going to lift up, not all the way, and then you can pull these off. If you lift up too far, then it gets stuck, so just make sure you go up 3/4. Just pull up, okay, and then this wire harness just clips onto the edge of the valve cover, so you can just move that out of your way. This one, if you want to unhook the battery and do everything, but it's not necessary. It's not going to be in our way. All right, so go ahead and grab each coil pack and just pull them out one by one, and I just lay them here on the window in the order. Okay, next we can start removing these 10 millimeter cap nuts. Sometimes they do stay there with the washer, but technically they are separate pieces. All right, so just FYI. I like to just remove them all, you know, both pieces. At least, you know, the rubber is not that big a deal, but I remove everything because I don't want it to fall inside the engine compartment. And while you're here on this side right here, you can go ahead and just pop off these O2 sensors out of their cradle and just let them hang out of your way here. And then you have a little vacuum line going to that EGR. So just make sure it's out of the groove. That way you'll be able to get the manifold, or excuse me, the valve cover off. And that has a little metal clip. So that way everything's free. All right. We got one more. Well, that one we just need a regular socket for. So need a deep tin for the middle ones. Okay, this last one in the back corner next to the firewall, I'm just gonna go ahead and get my quarter drive, get it in there because it is a little bit tighter. I can't get my Milwaukee in there. So we're gonna have to do this one by hand. This is the hardest one to get to, guys. So after you got that one out, makes the other ones really easy. Okay, so like I said, just grab the washer if you can, if it doesn't stuck on, and then that way it doesn't drop in and you lose it. Last step, just unplug the CCV tube here. Okay, just be careful. These are all brand new, so we're good. As you can tell, guys, this is the reason why we're changing this. We got oil leak, especially from these half moons, and we got oil dripping down all over the place, down the side of the engine, so we know this valve cover is not doing its job. Okay. All right, so after you got all the little cap nuts off, all you gotta do is give it a little wiggle. Sometimes it's stuck, and then we're just gonna lift it straight up. These cables are stuck on the back here, so you just wanna make sure and lift them off that lip, and now you can pull it off, and valve cover is off. All right, so all we gotta do is just go ahead and remove the old gaskets. 2 in the center and 1 around the edge. Then we're just gonna take this out, do a quick little engine degrease and rinse it off and get it all cleaned up. All right, so I'm just gonna grab some brake clean on a towel. I'm gonna spray it here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and wipe around the edge, make sure we got nice clean surfaces, so when we remount, especially in here, we're gonna get a little Q-tip and make sure those are really clean. I think this time we're gonna put a little RTV, a little goop in the half moon, because that's exactly where they leak. You know, the most common leak is inside, you know, this front half moon section here. So we'll put a little dab of silicone there. That way we don't have to worry about it. But yeah, we just want to do a quick wipe down. Make sure there's no oil on the surface. And we got another 2 half moons in the back here. We'll make sure and lube up. All right, go ahead and make sure you wipe down the middle holes around the spark plugs. So if you've got any oil there, make a good seal with the new gasket. All right, so I just go ahead and do a little Q-tip. That way you can get inside that crack. Try to get it the best you can. Okay, after a quick cleanup, we're ready for our new gasket. We'll go ahead and link this part in the description. There's a couple different brands. Corteco makes one, Victor Reigns makes one, or the factory BMW one. This is about $25 aftermarket, and it's about $50 if you want to go BMW. So pretty straightforward. You got your 2 middle pieces. There's a flap on one end and a circle on the other. The flap goes towards the middle. You can just simply get it into every hole, and it'll usually sit there pretty nicely. Okay, same thing on this side. Flap goes towards the middle of the cover. Get it in each groove and position. Okay, big one's the same way. You can only go one way. You got big ones here, and then you got small ones here. The small ones go in the back. So you can just find the groove here, get it started in one corner, and once you know you're in the corner, then you just keep going along and it's going to stick in there real nice. Just keep walking it around. Okay, the front also has these grooves here, if you look on the back, that they fit into that channel. That's supposed to keep pressure on the front, but like I said, we're going to put a little black silicone just to not have to think about it, not have to worry about it. All right, there we go. We got it in all the way around. It's good, and it does kind of stay put for you when you turn it back upside down to put it in the car. All right, so like I said, I'm just going to put a little thin little smear of some black RTV. I just want to make sure that we're not getting any leaking from here, since this is the common area to leak. So just a thin layer is all we need. You can do the same thing in the back. I know it's tough to see, but basically just put a little, get your finger there, put a little something in the back. Just to give it that extra little security. Okay, all right, so we got our gasket on, and we're gonna go ahead and reinstall it. So I just work my hand underneath there, get it alongside, and then basically line up your front holes here so you kind of know where you are. And then remember those cables. Those, you have to just make sure and pull them up on the top side out of your way. Okay, and then go ahead and just maneuver it. You just give it a little, I just usually grab it and wiggle it, and we're all set. Tuck those hoses back there for the time being, and then let's go get our hardware. Put our cap back on so you don't inadvertently drop something in. So you're just basically going to grab a rubber piece, and you're going to grab a washer and your cap nut, and just going to insert it into place. And you're going to do that for every section. You can kind of just put it like this if you want, put it together, so to speak, and then set it in there. And then you can just grab a little hand ratchet, spin them down a little bit. Okay, so we got the perimeter bolts in. Just remember the ones down the middle have the stud on them. So don't put the cap nuts in the middle, otherwise you won't be able to reattach your decorative cover. Okay, we're just gonna go ahead and snug them, starting with the middle. And we'll come back later in a minute and torque them down. All right, guys, so we got our torque wrench. We have a foot-pound torque wrench, so it's set to 7.4. If you have a Newton meter, it's going to be at 10 even. So same thing before, we snugged them down, so now we're just going to go ahead and start in the middle. And then, you know, the most important thing is don't over-tighten them, because it doesn't take much. There's a lot of bolts here. We got 15, so you don't need to go crazy. We're on our last one here. Everything's torqued down. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put our coil packs back in. Simply just push them in till they seat, leaving the clip up. there's a little rubber, so you do have to get it. I was a little crooked there. So just make sure you're in line in the groove. Okay, so before you clip your wire harness back into place, just go ahead and get your vacuum line for your EGR and your 2 cables to the O2 sensors. Get them back into this channel, and inside, you can just put them inside those clips that hold the connectors. So everything just fits in that groove, nice and tidy. Okay. And then you can just turn these sideways. They have a flat spot. Those go in there. And then we'll go ahead and put our vacuum line back in there. And then our front connector, go ahead and clip it into place. Okay, so now everything is nice and tidy, nice and clean. We have our wire harness here. Remember, that just also clips into place, but let's hook it up first. You want to just lift the door on each one, and as you push in, it will automatically just push it down for you. So as you push in, it wants to grab it. So just have it up 3/4 like when you took it apart. Push it in, it starts to grab for you. Push it in. Same thing on the last one, okay? And then remember, we need to reattach a little ground here, so we need our 8mm nut. Okay. All right, so then all you got to do, there's some clips here. Just clip it back into place. All right, perfect. All right, so now we're just going to go ahead and put our cover back on. Like I mentioned before, just remember these little rubber things like to find their way off. So just be careful when you slide it by and get it in position. Just line up the hole, that's the easiest way. And then once you get the hole lined up, you'll find that it just falls into place. I just left the nuts in there. So right here, make sure your wire harness is clearing everything's nice and straight, and then you can just go ahead, grab your tin, get that one started, the back one. Get it started as well. Just snug those down, nothing crazy. Put your oil cap back on. All right, your other cover comes in at an angle over the oil filler cap, slides in, and then goes into place like that. And then you line up your hole. Like I said in the beginning of the video, we just leave that one with no bolt. That way we can always take this apart without having to remove the cowl assembly. So just a little trick if you ever need to take things apart again. Makes it easy. And then go ahead and just carefully insert these. I like to just be real gentle. They get old and then the leg likes to snap off. So just go ahead and press them in nice and slow. And okay, next up, we're going to put our cowl piece back. Go ahead and come in at an angle. You want to have this part up on top, and then this little rubber piece goes on top after you get it situated. So just get it in position, and you're going to line up your 4 holes there. Okay, get your T30 and reinsert your 4 bolts. I just start each one. Make sure it's not cross-threaded. All right, we'll grab our cabin filter. If you haven't changed yours in a while, then obviously you have it apart. It's a good time to replace it since you're in here working on stuff. Ours has been changed not too long ago, so we're gonna leave it. And then you simply slide this in between the rubber piece there, the hood rubber. Go down, push it in, and then turn it to your left. Lock it in place. Okay, that's good. All right, next up, we're gonna get our two battery cable here on our wire harness. The battery one goes along the bottom. The wire harness one goes along the top. Okay, and then we can just simply re-snap our piece back in. There's clips on both sides. So what I like to do is just go ahead and start at the one side, get one side clipped, clip, 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 clip. Everything's set. All right, very last step is make sure your CCV tube is plugged back in until you hear an audible click. Pull on it, make sure you're there. And that completes our valve cover on a E46, M52, M54. It's all the same, like we showed in the beginning. It's just a little bit different with the coil packs. That's one additional step to take those 10mm bolts out, but the rest of it is the same process. All right, guys, so hopefully it helps you out with your E46 valve cover repair. Just a quick, simple, hopefully you should be able to get it done in less than 10 minutes. So if you enjoyed the video, feel free to give us a thumbs up, give us a like, hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, we'll see you guys on the next one.